Yeah, hello there world. Sorry for waiting a little bit. I had to turn off my desktop audio first. Yeah, not professional streamer here. I just wanted to make a short video about the state of Civ 7, and I already uploaded the version, but I think I said too many as and whatever. I try to keep it a bit shorter right now. So the first thing where I think they really nailed it is the change they did with war and combat, with removing the double strike from the archers and buffing the generals. That change is really good for the game, I think. There we go with saying again. I believe the balance though needs some little work. I believe they just took the one from Civ 6 over, like between like archer and knights and ships and archers. But they forgot that like the archers have no double attack anymore, so they might need to nerf the ships and knights in comparison to the archer a little bit, not too much. They made knights already less affordable by making them a bit more expensive, because some AI just spammed knights and it was really close to impossible to take their cities when they had so many knights that could just like one-shot your archers. Yeah, so that's a good step in the right direction. I just think it needs some more. Especially since ships, you know, like if they put a ship here and attack my city, I only have 4 slots to attack them, and often in deity they actually can one-shot my archers. So either you make it that 4 are enough, because right now you need like 6 of them when you have a general that is fully upgraded. Despite that, if you upgrade all of this, you still need 6 of them, and I think that's a bit too crazy, especially like I said, because there is oh, that's actually nice. Yeah, it's like the happiness here. Because there's no space to do that. With knights we can argue it's a bit different, but yeah, this is not the big issue, right? I think like in general the combat is pretty cool now, and it's more interesting than it was before. There is a little thing I would like them to fix, because you know they change, like if we have the general here and then we put archers here and here, this archer should not be able to attack him because he has no lane of sight. But if this archer can, and we use the focus fire ability, is it focus fire? Yeah, and if we use the focus fire ability, then both attacked this independent power, for example, and then they changed it that this doesn't work any longer. I don't know if it is because no one plays the game, but they implemented a bug that now if I use focus fire, my units just randomly walk around. It even goes that far that if they don't have any movement points, it gives them an order that they will do the next time in the next turn, and by giving them an order, they also will not pop up in your next turn, and they just move automatically normally in very bad positioning. I don't really understand why this happens. Like, for example, it should just be that if I use focus fire and here we have the 2 archers, that this one attacks and this one just ignores the focus fire. But what happens instead is this one will walk to the left, and this one, it doesn't even make sense. It will make sense if that one attacks and this one would walk over here to then be able to shoot, but that's not what happens. It just both walk around And in the end, no one attacks. I also had it like that I placed them perfectly, all 4, like this, so everyone has only this tile and can attack. And then I used focus fire and all 4 just moved around and none of them attacked. So there's really a bug going on with the focus fire ability, and the last patch is out quite long actually now, and they still did not fix it. So I don't know what's going on, and I hope they actually will fix it. Now the exploration, especially with the huge maps, that's really fun. There's a lot of those camps that you can take. That is also fun. Yeah, that concludes like the first thing. I think the biggest problem, they misread it, that they thought like the most people hate the age transitioning. I don't think that was the big problem. It was just a bit weird and you needed to get used to it, but then I didn't actually mind it much because it didn't impact gameplay much. There were some bad things, like if you build the wonder for 40 turns, I need 5 turns to be built, and then suddenly the age shifted, and it just said like, oh, in 3 turns the age will shift, and you build those 40 turns of the wonder for nothing. And also, if you changed age, you could not build the wonders from the ages before. So that was like my problem with the age shifting I had. Or if you invested a lot of time, also like 40-50 turns to try and take a major city, but they had like 5 walls, and you just didn't manage, and then the age ended, all your units got teleported back, and yeah, that was also not so fun and a little bit of frustrating, but I didn't mind it much because you could just go there again and keep harassing them, because if you took the cities around the main cities, they were still gone. It was actually easy to just continue that later. Then I think also when we are at the combat thing, I just think like you could restrict the amount of walls I can build in the city, because sometimes I have like 8-10 walls, and then it becomes really, really hard to just take the city. And yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, I think like he can also come up here. Then what I think is the biggest problem instead of the age transitioning is that all the change they did from Civilization 6 to Civilization 7 removed player choices and restricted us. Let's start with the restrictions. So one restriction obviously is we can only have 3 cities any longer. The next restriction is if you want to do the economic legacy pass, you need resource slots, and right now the only way to get them is to build next to camels. Now, especially if we have the big maps, I mean here actually we are lucky, we have a lot of camels close, but sometimes there just are no camels, so that it can be really, really restrictive. Right here it's not, because we can go camels, we can go other main city, we can go here to get another wonder, but basically that's also like, I mean, I don't mind it to build like this, but as Spain, the logical second city would actually have been here to get the second natural wonder, to increase the tiles from this natural wonder and from this natural wonder. So actually the logic second city would have been here, and because of the restriction the camels put on us, I kind of was forced to build in the middle of the desert here, or I could have built here, but I just thought like if I have to go camels, at least go here, then maybe we get some production from those tiles here next to this volcano, and we have the ability to actually conquer another major city that is then actually connected to my trade network. So the other restriction is as follows: the trade range, and I just think it doesn't, especially now that we have huge maps. Maybe I just wanted, I have a lot of army, I got a lot of army for free. I built the warrior, but I actually got a free spearman, I got a free archer, and I got a free, somewhere else we have another unit. I got three free units. Oh yeah, here, down here we have the chariot. So I could have gone and early attack some other mage city like this one here, because it's at the, it has water, lakes, camels, gold, producing wonders. But I can't really do that because of trade range, and I will never be able to connect this city. So this is just a restriction more they added to the game. Now they also removed a lot of player choices. The first that comes to mind is that they removed the worker mechanic. There are no more workers. This is a choice less I have, because before I had to decide what do I build with my first city. Do I get a worker first? Do I get a culture building first? Or do I just build a wonder first? And those, or even further with religion that they nerfed to the ground. This is also no choice anymore. And before we also had the choice to actually build a trader to connect my cities. This now just happens automatically if you are in trade range, and if not, you are screwed. So all instead of 5 decisions at the beginning, or even 6, when we say like, do I want a religion? Then I need some face building that creates an face, so I get this profit. And the profit I kind of needed. So I had a lot of choices and a lot of ways to go, which also increased replayability, because I could go different ways and different playthroughs, and they just removed all of that, and they didn't really give us much more new player choices. Then also they removed interaction with the enemy, like for example, if they are building the pyramids and I would be building the pyramids somewhere, I could then use the worker to speed it up by harvesting forest and other things. Especially like now, this is a perfect example to say what annoys me. Like, they could build the pyramids here, but I can't. So I make this city here next to the desert, and now I could build the pyramids here. Yet it's a new city. Obviously, it's slower than this city. So the way you did it in Civ 6 is then you would produce workers here. You would go over here and make sure that the 2 workers that you actually have get a lot of production. You would build mines here and probably, use the forest tile or build another mine here. And then you would harvest, you would buy land here, and then you would harvest those 3 forest tiles, and maybe even put Magnus in here to get more shields from harvesting, and then it would actually be possible to build the wonder faster than was it. And they removed all that, especially because this is a town. It can't even produce anything. That's where it starts. And there's also no more workers to send up here to do that. It's fine if you change things, but you just took things away and gave us nothing new. So you just reduced our tactical choices by a lot. And also, a tactical choice where I want to build my city is reduced by the stupid camel mechanic. I really hate it. And it's also reduced by the trade range mechanic, which I also dislike. I mean, it had something similar in Civ 6, like the merchants you needed to connect cities had only a certain range, but the range was much further. I mean, maybe they just did not attach change the range yet to adapt it to the huge maps, but I think they really need to do that, because right now it's not big enough. If I wanted to use my army to take them, as I said, I could never connect it to my main city with the current systems in place. And that's just taking away, like, this just forces me to just play in this area here of the map. And if you look at the minimap, that's a really small area, and all the other places for the first age are actually out of business. It's not even a choice. I would prefer it if I could choose to not build cities here, but instead just take over that, and then I can somehow connect them to my main city, and I have 2 enemies less. And that would be, especially in deity, one of the only ways to then compete with those people here that already have 3 cities at the start and build many cities. Or if I could just say like, yeah, we are Spain, we obviously go build here, we get a natural wonder, and then we build here and we get another natural wonder, and then we can somehow connect it, and we are happy because we get a lot of boost from natural wonders. But that's not an option. I mean, here we would get 1 camel, but it's not an option because the 1 camel would not be enough to actually fill up the resources I need to do this one here, the legacy path. So I don't think that what they changed with the legacy, with the age transitioning, was the big problem. I think the big problem is more that we have no more choices, or a very few choices, and much less than in Civ 6, and that's why many people still think Civ is the better game, and currently it actually is, right? So I have some propositions on how we could improve those things while still kind of keeping their new stuff. So the first change is really just make me connect my cities again using merchants, give me merchants sooner. Then you could also add that instead of production and food, that when I connect 2 cities with each other using a merchant, that they get more resources. That would make it not necessary to build next to camels. You can give them some other bonus, I don't care. Or you can just make it like Altis, and that if I connect the city with a merchant, then like this here is the perfect example. I built my first new city, it just connected automatically, so I don't have a choice. I just build the next city and I probably go build it here. But if it would not connect directly, I would actually had a choice to, do I build the merchant now to connect them, or do I build another city, then having 3 cities that are not connected, and then build 2 merchants to connect them. And I think that's just more interesting than if it just automatically connects them, and also being able to send merchants again to your own cities. It just made a lot of sense, and it felt good, and it was a logical thing to do. Also, it forced me to do it and build this merchant somewhere, and I had a strategic decision more, when do I want to build this merchant actually. So also you could also just build a whole building chain instead of the camel. So let's say like I connect the 2 cities now with a merchant, and then I am able to build, and they just give food and production and that, or gold, and then I am able to build trade posts, and those trade posts over the ages have like, I don't know, 10 upgrades, and those trade posts actually add more resource capacity to the city. I would prefer this anytime over the stupid camel thing. Like, it would just be better, especially it would give me another building that would give me a choice at the beginning of the game. Which route do I want to go? Do I want to go for the trade buildings? Do I want to build wonders? Do I want to build army? The more choices you have, the more replayability you have. So that's why, since you removed workers, I would overhaul the specialist mechanic. And in my vision, I would make it so that we just get specialists. I play on marathon, so I would say like each 20 turns, and on standard maybe each 10 or 15 turns. Those numbers you have to balance, right? It can also be each 40 turns in marathon and each 20 turns in standard. And then you can make another building chain throughout the ages that makes it so that I can add more and faster specialists. And you could also make leaders again, more diverse leaders that boost the trade again. You could make leaders that boost those specialist buildings, that the specialists maybe even get special ability, or they spawn faster, or you spawn 2 specialists at a time, or whatever. You just would have also more diverse abilities with the leaders. And now listen to me. Right now, specialists are not specialists. All they do is they add 3 culture and 3 science, and if you're lucky, maybe even 1 production and or 1 gold or 1 food on top of the 2 resources you need to just research faster, right? So for me, that's not really a specialist, that's just like research. And I would prefer a system where when I send a specialist here I have the granary. So if I send the specialist to the granary, he should just produce 6 food. And then if I build the barracks here, that produces production. Then I send the specialist here, he produces 6 production. The numbers you can change, it's saying something, but I feel like 6 is kind of good, because before it was 3 science and 3 culture, and maybe 4 or 5 production or 4 or 5 food here was good. And then I could actually decide as player what my city produces, and because what it needs. Like for example, right now I can't build anything, so I just build the settlers, but the problem is I have 5 people and 2 of them I sent here. So now let's say it would not produce culture but just production. So right now I don't need the production, I would rather need science. So but I can't remove them because they remove the feature. They are just static, and this just makes me not feel like I'm in control of my empire, because I would just like to put them here now to produce science. So if you don't want to touch the system and leave it, I would say overhaul the specialist thing then, and then at least once I have science building, I could send the specialist into the science building and produce science when I need science. And then you could make it so that they can move around specialists. And that would be really cool, because then I can say like, okay, now we want to grow my cities, and I put my specialists everywhere where we get food. And then I say like, okay, now we want to build the wonder, and I put the specialists on the barracks and the other production buildings, and actually produce the wonder faster. And like this, I could just have influence on what the tiles resources are produced. And that would be kind of cool. Also, again, it would be another choice more I have. What do I do? What do I build? Because also by making the face useless and the whole religion thing useless, that's also choiceless, and there's no grand people, so that's another choiceless. So you removed a lot of choices, or did not add them yet, so right now we just have basically no choices, and the game is just boring. And by adding more routes I can take, like for example a specialist route or a trade route, and then focus on trade buildings and focus on building merchants, I could have different gameplays that would feel different, and that would be, for me, I think, a lot of fun. So those are my ideas in this direction. And then we also have, for me, one of the worst things is influence. Influence is really just bad. I think, like, because also the independent powers, they totally butchered the whole mechanic. Because before it was interesting, you send 1 envoy, you get 1 science, then you send 2 envoys, you get 2, and etc. etc. And at some point you become the suzerain of the city-state, and then you can, for gold, levy the city-states. And now they changed it that all you do with them just needs influence. And influence is also needed for other parts, so actually you don't really interact. This just leads to you don't really interact with those independent powers. And there are also not a really big choice which you get, because obviously first you get the the science one, and then you get the culture one, because you get free civics and free technologies when you do that. So obviously that's the best. And then the third is probably a commerce one, so because you can choose the resource, the bonus resource here, that you get gold and for production, which I think is really good. And then no matter what you add next, you just get every time a free technology and a free civic. And I think also the system is kind of stupid, because it takes 60 turns to take over this one here, and you have no clue what you are researching in 60 turns, and sometimes you just get the technology already nearly researched and there was like literally one turn missing, and so you waited 60 turns just to speed up this one turn of research, and it just feels bad, you know. I like the other system better, where you just got the fixed values of research or culture, of science or culture, sorry. And I think also you could compete again. They removed all the fields of where you could compete, like I said before, competing about who can build wonders first. Now it's really just you have no influence on it. Either you have more production than them, or you have less production like them. Like now we have, for example, the same production, and it's just because I have those. And then they just build things faster, right? Than me, if they have more, and I build faster than them. So there's no competition about it, because you don't have to work to speed it up or not. And the same is true for city-states. Once you have a city-state, or independent power, however they are called here, then you have it, and it's done. And you could use influence to integrate it in your empire, but as I said, like normally you just go into negative influence at some point, or you just use the influence for other more important things, especially now on the huge map where it has more city-states. The influence actually is relevant longer. On the small maps, you could like add 2 of them, and then every city-state would belong to someone, and since you can't compete over them, once it belongs to someone, it's just over. And I actually like that you could compete over being suzerain of a certain city-state. The other thing is you had those little quests to speed up technology or civics, and by that the actions you did on the map influenced what technologies or civics you got faster. And they also removed that, so again there's less player choice. There's less choices everywhere, and I think that's what crippled the game and what made it worse. Because before I could be like, okay, actually there are no barbarians, by the way. Actually, by going and clearing out some barbarians just gives me a little gold, but it also makes, like, if I kill 3 barbarians, I can get the technology faster with the iron. I don't know by heart how it's called, but you just could get the iron technology faster, and many such things, and you could just speed up certain things that were important for you. And again, you had more player choice in which direction you develop your civilization faster. That's another point I forgot in the last video, that is actually better in Civ 6, just straight up. And I also think, like, the weird part about we just run away here. The weird part about the whole influence thing is also that it should just never be negative. Like, why does it become negative? For me that makes no sense at all. The Civ 6 system was much better. If you're a warmonger and you take a lot of cities, you get grievances with other leaders. That's fine, and they are more inclined to declare war on you or say no to your proposals, and that was kind of good, right? And then you mainly just lost victory points. And victory points were mainly used to do negotiations in the United Nations thing. And like if you take a real life example, if you take Russia and they attacked Ukraine, and a lot of world leaders were like, oh my god, we will sanction you, we will not talk with you again, and this was somewhat emulated in Civ 6, but in Civ 7 not really. Like when I let's say those are my allies, and now Egypt attacks them. So let's say they also have a city here, then I raise this city, raise that city, and take over that city. So I just get -4, 8, 10, -10 influence. Let's say they have another city here, and I raise that also. So we are on just -3 or -3 influence. And since I have a city limit, obviously I will raise those cities and just keep the best one. And then just because I helped my ally, my influence will be negative. And now comes the best part. Despite they should actually be happy I helped them, because they are my ally and they would have been crushed maybe by Egypt if I didn't help, they should like me more. But no, even with them I can't conduct any more diplomacy because influence now is negative. So yeah, I could not renew the trade agreements, I could not renew the research agreements, etc, etc. I'm just like I just have again less options, and my strategic thinking is really reduced to like 0 nearly in this game, while it was pretty high in Civ 6, so that even people like Zuckerberg, etc., like to play the game because it was a very good strategic emulation. Now, I would say another thing is then peace negotiations. I can only ask for cities. That again would bring me over this cap. I can't ask for resources, I can't ask for gold, and that's just weird. I don't know why it's not in the game. So this is also something that should change really soon, and it shouldn't be that hard to actually change it. So now we have saw pit here. I'm not really sure, I'm probably just gonna build it here. Yeah, actually here is fine. Good. And then here we have the other Stadler. And yeah, I don't know, I could go build up here. Would not be so bad. We would have another production, culture, gold. I could take them, and that's another production. So I could go build here. That would be interesting, but since I'm Spain, I think I'm definitely gonna go and build here. Just need to find out where exactly. If I build here, I lose a lot, huh? Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I gain a lot. So we go build there. Definitely. And that's it, yeah. So, what else do we lose on decision making? I think I noted the most damning ones now. Yeah, I didn't finish with the influence thing. I think like the way it should work instead is that if you have grievances with, let's say I kill this city, and this city of them, but I don't manage to take Wazit, so then I make peace. So then obviously they should hate me, and you could emulate that by just making it more expensive to do any action with them. So for, let's say, open borders right now is what's that? Say 75, so you just quadruple it. So it would be 400 influence now when I want to open borders with them. And this would make more sense, because then I could still, I just think this should never be negative, because I should still be able to conduct diplomacy at any point of the game. It just makes no sense to restrict this for the whole age, right? Or if you if you want to bar warmongers from diplomacy, yeah, do it. Just restrict them for 10 turns or something. Don't make it for the whole age. That's just weird, especially if you can't talk to your allies. You can't even talk to, let's say, like, they are already in my empire now. I also can't interact with them anymore because it all needs influence. If I want to grow them bigger, or if I want to give them more units, or if I want to integrate them in my empire, this all costs influence. And also I don't want to implement them in my empire because city limit. Okay, remember? That's not what I want. I want to get them for their units, and then I want to pay gold for a lot of their units for a short time instead of one unit for myself. Like, this would give me right now like 3 slingers. So instead of those 3 slingers for the same gold, I could get like 5 units for them for 30 turns. So that's much better and a more interesting choice than the new system where everything I want to do with them just costs me influence again. While influence actually even goes into the negative. So you make influence more important, and then you make it doomed, so you go into the negative. And then I made this forum post, and there was one person reacting because no one plays the game, and he was like, "Oh, you don't have to take their cities." Yeah, but it's the fucking fun of the game, to take over other civilizations, to let them build the world wonder of the pyramids, and then just take it, and then I have the pyramids in my empire. That's the fun of the game, not to sit on my 3 cities that I have now already and then do nothing for the rest of the game. That's, for me, that's really not fun. I'm sorry. And so you should really try to change those things to make the game more fun again, and I think the player will flock back in. And yeah, the fact that you changed now first age transitioning, it's fine because it's a choice. I can now turn it on or turn it off. I mean, that's definitely a win because we have more customization, and the more customization we have while starting the game, the more replayability we have. So that wasn't a bad choice. I just don't think it's the choice that made people not like the game. I think the thing is really more like we have no choices. Like, our choices are really reduced to a bare minimum, and this bare minimum often even gets restricted more by stuff like I can only have 3 cities, by stuff like this will go into the negative if I take cities. The punishment for war and taking other cities is just so high that it makes no sense to even do it. Because especially now with huge maps, let's say like I do it and I raise those 3 cities and take the main cities. This just means for the rest of the game I can't conduct any diplomacy. Then it's just not worth it. Then war is not the continuation of diplomacy, which it should be. But it's the other way around, that war just stops you from doing any diplomacy. But it should be like, I do diplomacy and I should be able to. I never also got that in Civ 6, that I can say like, yeah bro, you built the city here, I want it, and then I say no, and then I declare war on them, and then if they are like, oh okay, like yeah, maybe they are stronger, you can have the city, and I can say no, now we're at war, I take everything. Or I can be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the city I wanted, that's why I declared war. So then the war is the continuation of diplomacy, and that's how the world was for many centuries. And it's not represented at all in the game. So yeah, those are my points that I think needs to be changed in one way or another. My way is just an example. It's just to inspire maybe the devs in a direction. I just think like if I start the game and there is choices here to build, it is more fun. Imagine if I had a building now to do the new specialists, the overwork specialist system. There would be a building to add resources. There would be the trader to actually connect cities. I would just have more choices, and let's say you actually rework faith again, that it becomes relevant again. There would also be the choice to somehow acquire faith, that I can make a religion. Now just everyone can make a religion, and again it's just like automatic, like the street here is automatic, and that's just not fun. If you can make those things automatic, so we don't have to bother about them, but then give us all the things we have to bother about, because right now I don't have anything to bother about, not even war, because war is not an option, like, because of influence mainly. And expansion is not really an option because of this restriction. So I just sit here and I have my 3 cities, and then I wait like 100 turns and I can have a 4th city or a 5th city, and then maybe I go to war. But with those 100 turns I just do nothing, and it's just boring. And that's why I think you need to give us more choices again. You need to give us more replayability by that also, and just more system that need our attention, where we can really choose things to do or not to do. So yeah, I think that's a good finish for a wrap up for this video. Thanks for listening. I hope it finds the ears of someone who actually cares, because I love Civilization. It is the game I played the longest, with colonization being one of my first games I fell in love with back then on pixelated old computers, with actually using a disc, not a CD even. That's amazing, and over the decades I never felt the urge to make a video about Civ, because their reinvention of the old formula always was good, and I was always happy. And this is the first time where I think like, oh no, this is beyond the point. And then I waited this time to see what they patch and what they change. And I think no, it's not hitting. It's not the change that were really needed. As I say, like, to make the transition period different and give us the choice to actually how we want to transition, that's kind of cool, but I think it was not the core issue of the game. So yeah, have a nice day and thanks for listening. Bye.